Dear brothers and sisters, we are still explaining the well-known book, Summary of Islamic Jurisprudence, and we reached to the book of Siyam. We finished chapter 1, and now in this lesson, inshallah, we will explain the chapter 2. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. The title of chapter 2 is the beginning and end of a fasting day. Allah exalted be, He says, it has been made permissible for you the night preceding fasting to go to your wives for sexual relations. They are clothing for you and you are clothing for them. Allah knows that you used to deceive yourselves. So He accepted your repentance and forgave you. So now have relations with them and seek that which Allah has decreed for you, offspring, and eat and drink until the white thread of dawn becomes distinct from the black thread, becomes distinct to you from the black thread of night. Then complete the fast until the night sun set. In this connection, Imam Ibn Kathir, rahimahullah, may Allah have mercy on him, said a nice explanation for this ayah, for this verse of Quran. And the meaning, or in a brief, he means that Muslims were to break their fast from the sunset to the night prayer. So they have two things. Either they break their fast and start eating, drinking, having sexual intercourse in this period between the Maghrib prayer and Isha prayer, or else if they sleep in this period, during this period of time between Maghrib and Isha prayer, they have to stop eating and drinking. So if a Muslim breaks his fast at sunset, it's permissible for him to continue eating, drinking, having sexual intercourse with his wife or with his spouse until the night prayer. If he sleeps during this period of time, that means that it's finished and he has not to eat and drink and have sexual intercourse. This brought hardship for the Muslims. It was very hard for them to follow this. So this was before the revelation of this verse we recited a minute ago. Afterwards, after the revelation of this verse, of this ayah, it was a big happiness for the companions of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, because, as we said before, this was very hard for them to do so. So here we will read the words of Ibn Kathir, may Allah have mercy on him. He says, this is a legal permission granted by Allah exalted be He to the Muslims so as to relieve them from the restrictions they were burdened with at the beginning of Islam. This was at the beginning of Islam, as we said, that they can eat and drink only between these two times, between sunset and between sunset prayer, Maghrib prayer, till night Isha prayer. And if he sleeps, he cannot eat anymore and drink anymore. To illustrate, at the early stage of Islam, when the fasting day was over and Muslims broke their fast, a Muslim was allowed to enjoy eating, drinking, and having sexual intercourse with his wife only until the time of the Isha night prayer until the night Isha prayer was due, or until he sleep before that time. Until he sleep before that time, as we said before. At that time, if a Muslim slept after the fast breaking or performed the Isha prayer, he was prohibited to eat, drink, and have sexual intercourse until the fast breaking of the following day. Thus, the Muslims experienced great difficulty in fasting until the aforementioned verse was revealed. The revelation of this verse caused them great happiness, as they were permitted by Allah to eat, drink, and have sexual intercourse at any time of the night until daybreak, until the white thread of dawn became distinct from the black thread of night. So this is the stages of fasting of the Sharia and the revelation of fasting Ramadan. First it was this way, then afterwards Allah gave the Muslims, as Ibn Kathir here said, Muslims so as to relieve them from the restrictions they were burdened. And we have to thank Allah, be He exalted, for this relief. Now he will talk, the author will talk about the sahur. He will talk about the sahur. What's the meaning of sahur? The sahur is a pre-dawn meal. Sahur is a pre-dawn meal, and it's an act of sunnah to have this meal before the dawn. The aforesaid verse stated the prescribed time for daily fasting. It begins from daybreak until sunset. This is the time, and we talked about this in the previous lesson. The permissibility of eating and drinking until dawn indicates the desirability of having sahur. Sahur is a pre-dawn meal. You can eat a meal of a few date fruits, even a sips of water, or a normal meal. You eat it before the dawn prayer. Because the Prophet Muhammad said in the authentic hadith, the sahur pre-dawn meal, for there is take sahur pre-dawn meal, for there is a blessing in sahur. There is a blessing in sahur. The Prophet Muhammad said that, and you know that sahur, if you eat at the end of the time, you will be able to fast easily during the day, and you will not suffer from hunger, thirst, other things. First, because you ate a few minutes before the Ramadan, before the fasting starts, and because of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and this is in the first place, said that sahur is a blessing. There are also many traditions indicating the desirability of having sahur, acts of sunnah, indicating the desirability of having sahur, even if by drinking some water. As we said, you can take even a few sips of water at least before you start the fast or before the dawn prayer, because as we said, it's a blessing. Because someone says, what will I do with a few sips or a few date fruits? It will not help me. All in all, it will not help me in my fasting. So we say, no, it will help you inshallah, because you are following the sunnah, and because Muhammad ﷺ said it's a blessed meal. It's desirable to delay sahur and to have it shortly before dawn. In this regard, if a man gets up shortly before dawn and finds out that he is in a state of janaba, some people, and they wake up and find themselves in a state of janaba, the major ritual impurity, or a woman finds herself that the menses stopped and the period finished, she has only a few minutes. Either she eats the sahur or have the ghusl, the bath of janaba, or as we say, the bath of major ritual impurity. So you are recommended to take the sahur, and afterwards you do this bath, even if the day broke, even if the Fajr prayer due time enters, because as we said, because so many people are asking this question. They say, can I fast if I have janaba? Can I fast if I am in a state of major ritual impurity? We say, yes, inshallah, you can fast and continue fasting while you are in a state of major ritual impurity. No problem with that. But you have to do this as fast as you can, because you need to pray. For example, one of the people was asking, can I finish the day of my fasting without having the bath. I asked him, how can you finish the day of fasting without having the bath of janaba? What about the prayers? Did you pray Fajr? Did you pray noon prayer? Did you pray evening prayer? How did you do these things? So you have to do the bath as fast as you can, because you need it for prayers, for the daily prayers. But will it affect your fasting at the daytime? No, it will not affect your fasting. Therefore, we say that you have only this short period of time. Either you do the bath or have your meal, the sahur meal. No, take the sahur meal, have the sahur meal, and afterwards you can do the bath whenever you want, but as fast as you can. Some people here, the author mentions that as many people do something in Ramadan, and I don't know why some people take Ramadan as a time of staying up late at night. This is something strange, this is a bad tradition. Here the author says they stay up late at night and then have sahur and sleep. For example, if you have, if we say that, for example, that prayer or dawn prayer, Fajr prayer is at 5 a.m. Some people, especially in Ramadan, it's not a tradition in their life, but in Ramadan especially, they stay up late at night. They see some movies, other things like playing, go to the coffees and these things. Stay up late at night till 3 a.m. for example. Then they eat the sahur and sleep. This is not right. Why? Because the author here said that three mistakes we will do if we stay up late at night and eat the sahur, then sleep. First, he says they would start fasting before its due time. He will start the fasting from 3 o'clock, from 3 a.m. So his fast started at 3 a.m. and it's supposed to start at 5 a.m. The second thing, they would not observe the Fajr, dawn prayer, because if you sleep at 3 a.m., it's hardly for you to wake up at 5 a.m. to do the prayer, to do the congregational prayer. Or even if you don't have a congregation in your city, for example, you can do it, but still you have to do it on time. So they will not wake up. That means that they will delay the prayer after the sunset. So this is the third point. They may delay performing the Fajr prayer after its prescribed time and perform it after sunrise. And it's a major sin for a Muslim to leave or to delay intentionally his prayer till its prescribed time passed. Some people, some people that they may ask if he's. And we know that from the authentic hadith of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said that there is no sin on a person who sleeps and miss his prayer or miss the prescribed time for the prayers. Yes, we say no, but if the person intentionally do this and he knows that he will not wake up, that means that he intentionally wanted to delay his prayer after the prescribed time. So if you know that if you sleep late at night, you will not wake up for the Fajr prayer. That means you intentionally decided to not to pray. This is the meaning of the words stated by the author here. The author here mentioned the proof of Quran. Allah exalted be, He says, "So woe to those who pray, but who are heedless of their prayer." So the author says a Muslim must have the intention of observing the obligatory fasting from the night of the day before. This is another point he wants to talk about, that he wants to talk about the intention of the fasting Ramadan. As we said in the previous lesson, we will talk about the intention of, in this lesson, about the intention of fasting Ramadan. Some scholars said, as the author states here in his book, that you have to have the intention of fasting each day before you fast. At the night, you have to have the intention in your heart that you want to fast the next day. The intention is in the heart. No need to say it by your tongue. So if you have you have to have the intention in your heart at the night before the day you will fast. You have the intention to fast the next day. But other scholars said no need for that. It's enough only for you to have the intention on the first day on the first day before you fast the first day, and that intention you make it for the whole days of Ramadan. So before the first day of Ramadan, you have the intention to fast the first day and all the days of Ramadan. This is enough for you. It is desirable to hasten fast breaking if sunset is verified, whether by sight, being informed by a trustworthy person, or by hearing the prayer call, or anything of the kind. Anything of the kind, as we said, that the lunar calendars you have, you can verify that this is the time or the due time of sunset. You can break your fast. It is recommended, it's highly recommended for us to break our fast as fast as we can once we verify the sunset time, because the Prophet Muhammad said that the people will remain on the right path as long as they hasten breaking of the fast. And also the Prophet Muhammad said in the Qudsi hadith, divine hadith, the divine hadith is quoting the words of his Lord Almighty and ever majestic, "Be he the most beloved of my servants to me are those who hasten to break fasting as soon as they are sure of the sunset." Means, don't be hasten in breaking your fast unless you be sure that the time of Maghrib prayer, the time of sunset is past. Then afterwards you can break your fast. It's an act of the sunnah to break one's fast with eating some ripe dates. So it is an act of sunnah. Once you verify the sunset time, you eat 3 ripe date fruits, 3 pieces, 3 ripe date fruits. If it's not a ripe date fruits, even if you have a dry date fruits, make it 3 or 5 odd numbers. This is the sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad. Odd numbers doesn't mean 1, because the hadith mentioned 3 date fruits. So it's 3, 5, 7, 9, no problem with that. And if you don't find the date fruits, it's okay for you to take or to have, it's an act of sunnah to have some sips of water, a drink of water. If you don't have all these things, it is okay for you to eat anything else. If you have intention to take or to have these days to follow the Prophet Muhammad, to follow the sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad, and you don't have, inshallah, you will be rewarded. You will have the good deeds since you have this intention, but you don't have the ripe or dry or the water, ripe or dry date fruits, or you don't have the water. No problem with that. You will get inshallah, the rewards on good deeds for your intention. How did we know that this is an act of sunnah? The Prophet ﷺ said, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessing be upon him, used to break his fast before performing the sunset prayer with some ripe days, but if there were no fresh days, he would eat a few dry days, and if there were no dry days, he would take some mouthfuls of water. Some mouthfuls of water. If there are not any ripe or dry days, as the author says, or water, the fasting person may break his fast with whatever is available of food and beverage. As we said, inshallah, if you have this intention, because you heard this hadith, and now you knew that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, or the sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, is to break your fast with the 3, at least, date fruits, 5, and all numbers, 5, 7, 9, and so on. And if you don't have the days, you can drink some water. So if you have this intention, and you don't have these things, no problem. Whatever food you have, whatever beverage you have, break your fast with it, and you, inshallah, you'll get rewarded and get good deeds with your intention, because of your intention. There is a very important issue to highlight here. The author says there is a very important issue to highlight here. Some Muslims break their fast and keep over dining tables until they finish having the fast-breaking meal. This is yes, many Muslims, they don't go for prayer, or Maghrib prayer. They still continue eating and fill their stomachs with hundreds of tons of food once they verify the sunset time. No, it's not good. It's not an act of sunnah. It's also not scientifically. It's not good for health, because your stomach is empty for several hours, and once you eat, that you put this big amount of food on your stomach. This will hurt your stomach. So this is not healthy. This is not healthy, and also it's not an act of sunnah, because you will miss the congregational prayer. Okay, some people say that we don't have a congregational prayer in our area. No problem with that. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was praying after taking a few amount of food, as we said before, that dates or water or something else. And he goes for the prayer. Don't miss the time of prayer, because Maghrib prayer is its period of time is short, and so you can go, even if you can go for the congregational prayer. Don't miss it, because one of the authentic opinions of the scholars says that the congregational prayer is an obligation on every male Muslim. And some of them, they said it's an act of sunnah. However, we have to do the congregational prayer, because it's better than doing the prayer individually. If you don't have the congregational prayer, you can do it individually by yourself, but don't miss the prayer time. Eat some few food, and then go pray, and afterwards come back and finish your eating. The author here says it is desirable for the fasting person, when breaking his fast, to invoke Allah, supplicating Him for whatever he likes. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, "Verily, a fasting person has an invocation when breaking his fast that is not rejected by Allah." So it's recommended, highly recommended, to do supplications, make dua to Allah, and whatever we want whatever supplication we want to supplicate Allah, and this is before a few minutes before breaking the fast, and after breaking your fast, you do the supplications, because this time is the time that Allah respond to our supplications, to our dua. Among the invocations narrated to have been observed by the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, we have some dua, some supplications narrated by the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and even though, as I told you, that you can do whatever dua you want to do, whatever supplications you want to do, this is a time for accepting our supplications. This is a time for responding to our supplications. So don't miss this time to make dua. Although there is some dua, some supplications narrated by the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, we need to do. It's an act of sunnah to do it. The dua is, "Oh Allah, for you I have fasted, and with your provision I have broken my fast." Moreover, the Prophet Muhammad said, "Thirst has gone, the arteries have become moist, and the reward has become certain, if Allah wills." The author says, in fact, a Muslim should know about the rulings related to fasting and fast breaking in terms of both correct time and manner of performance. You have to know the right timings of fasting. You have to learn how to perform fasting according to the prophetic way, according to the prophetic tradition, so as to observe it in the proper legal way that agrees with Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. In this way, if you do these things, if you learn, if you listen to to the classes or to the lessons or read about the Ramadan, about this worship, because we have to do our worships according to knowledge. We don't do worships by ourselves like we want. No, we have a Sharia, we have Islamic law, we have to follow. So in this way, by following the Prophet's footsteps when observing fasting, one's fasting is likely to be valid and one's good deeds during fasting are likely to be accepted in Allah's wills. If Allah wills, this is a very important issue. Allah be exalted be. He says, there has certainly been for you and the Messenger of Allah an excellent pattern for anyone whose hope is in Allah and the last day and who remembers Allah often. Dear listeners, we reach to the end of this lesson and we explained chapter 2 from this book, Summary of Islamic Jurisprudence. Hope that we can meet in the next lesson, inshallah, and we will talk about chapter 3, inshallah. I hope that you enjoyed listening to our lessons. Thank you very much for listening, dear listeners. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.